Hello. I want to take a minute to talk about some functionality in Vicinity software that is applicable to Vicinity Brew, VicinityFood, and Vicinity Chem companies, so basically across the board. And in this case, it has to do with our tiles that are part of our VicinityView query tool. These tiles allow a user to identify if they've got issues sitting out in the database that they need to go look at. In my example, I've got two here. One of them is pointing out batches with unusual yield, and another one is showing batches that I need to run and I need to process. It just gives a nice quick view of key data that's necessary. Now these settings that we're looking at, or these tiles that we've got here, are user specific. So different users can have different tiles and they can set them up themselves. Let's take a look at it and kind of see what's going on. I'm going to go ahead and open up the unusual yield and kind of work with it. On the left-hand side, this is the tree of different queries that we have of data in the system, and any place you see the arrow means that there is a folder. If it's a down arrow, then it's been expanded, and so you're kind of seeing this tree diagram, if you will, until you get down to icons that look like this. These are actually favorites. So what you're doing is you create a favorite first in VicinityView, and then you can make that favorite a tile on the home page, on the main navigation page. So in this case, I'm actually looking at a couple of different scenarios. I've got in my facility called Georgia, I've actually got two different formulas that are out here that have got some yields that I need to take a look at. I know what this query is about. Let me go ahead and show you kind of what is going on with this query, and then we'll talk about the tiles. So I just clicked on the search button on the VicinityView window, and you're seeing a search or a query definition here where two conditions have to exist. One is that the loss percentage by weight, which is a column in the query. If I scroll off just a little bit, we'd have the loss percentage by weight. So it's one of the columns in the query. That is a requirement for the piece. And then I've got a filter or a condition where my loss percentage is greater than or less than 0.5 as an example. That's this hypothetical scenario. And then the additional criteria is I don't want to look at a bunch of history, so I'm also looking at where my actual end date is greater than a specific date. And I can control this. I can enter a date. I could be beginning of the week, yesterday, last month, etc. So it can move by itself. In this case, I'm just giving an example where it's a hard, firm date. I also have some ordering and some grouping. This is just standard search capability, and what it ends up with is creating the result query that we've got. From there, I save it as a favorite, and I saved it as unusual yield, and normally I'd say add, but it's already there. I'll just go ahead and click on modify. So this yield is out here. This favorite is out here for me to be working with. Now if I want to add it as a tile, I would click on add to dashboard, and I can mark it as a tile. When I mark it as a tile, now I can control what kind of data that I'm showing. First off, the data in the tile right now is a count. If I've got a numeric value, I could do a sum, and it would sum a specific column or an average or a min or a max. In this case, I'm just counting records. Also, the format that I want to show is an integer. I don't want to show any decimals, and I sure don't want to show any currency delimiters. Then what I'm doing is I can have different color codes. So my default color, my base position, my lowest position, 0 if you will, is going to be green. And then I can set a threshold where I can say, if it's more than 2 as an example, I want it to go yellow, and if it's more than 5, I want it to go red, as an example. And when I do that, it configures that and actually adds it onto my clipboard. And here's my second unusual yield. I could get rid of that one rather easily simply by right-clicking on it. So I've got this tile out here. Now it is dynamically working where I'm actually looking at a couple of different items with some unusual yield. You can do really anything you want with this. If you can see data in your vicinity view, you'll be able to add it as a tile. So for example, you might have some custom views that you've created or we've created for you. Those can be used as well. So as long as you can see the data on your in vicinity view and you create a favorite, then that will be able to be made as a tile. Anyway, just a quick way to let people be able to visualize their data without having to kind of rework or go through other screens. It just brings it to the front end of the screen so that you can get a visual representation of what you need to do. Anyway, we hope that helps, and let us know if you need any help implementing this.